And this one is how to handle transition when in the role. I've talked about this a little bit, hot seat, and working for a coach who everybody wants. You can find an episode right here about a coach that everybody wants. It's actually doing very, very well. I detail working for Tom Herman when he was the most wanted coach in college football. I have never seen anything like that. Like whatever we want, everybody wanted Tom Herman. But if you want to learn more about that, you can hit that there. All right, so I have been through the following transitions. So you all know I was in player development. I'm leading beyond the field right now. And at some point, if a perfect opportunity comes along, I may jump back in. We'll see. Maybe hire one of you all listening to this. But I've been through the following transitions. And so we're going to talk about it. I've had a coach leave. I've been with a coach who's fired. I've stayed in the role during transition, and I've been fired as well. And so when we talk about how to handle transition, we're going to break down the three areas, the three survival tactics or rules I've learned from all of them, but we'll break down those three in each of those four scenarios. So the first, well, let me give you the three rules, tactics, whatever you want to call them. Number one, what I did in all of these, or let me rephrase that. I'm going to give you the three ways that you can handle the transition, and then we'll talk about the four scenarios I had. Number one, communicating your value. Communicating your value. Number one, communicating your value. That is super important as you go through this transition, is to communicate your value. Number two, use your contacts. Use them. Use them. And maybe you don't like the word use. Take advantage. Maybe you don't like the word advantage. But just use your contacts, right? And then number three, be there for the players. Be there for the players. Those three things will help you through any transition. Communicate your value, use your contacts, and be there for the players. Now, we're going to talk about the first one, a coach leaving. And so we had a coach leaving. And this is when, like I talked about earlier, this is when Tom Herman went from the University of Houston when I worked there to the University of Texas. And when that happened, it was just like, oh, snap, like, he's gone. Like, he is gone. And it happens quick. I've seen a coach get fired. I've seen a coach leave. If you want to see people leave fast, when they get that new job, out of there, leaving everything behind. I mean, there was so much stuff that was in that office. He used to have like this specific jerky he used to eat, and like he left it behind. So we all kind of took the jerky. But in that role, when a coach is leaving, number one, going back to communicate your value, you want to communicate your value, right? So for me, what that looked like was the interim head coach, Coach Todd Orlando, came in and he said, hey, Ed, tell me what you do. He came in and said, tell me what you do in your role. And so I broke down, hey, Coach Orlando, this is what I do. I'm here for the players. You know, I help the players get in the community. I help them get, jobs, summer jobs, and help them towards things. This is before I truly built out player development, beyond the field. So I was giving them what Coach Herman had me do. And I say, I do some other stuff, academic liaison, do this as well, campus liaison, different things like that, right? So I'm telling Coach Orlando my value. He's sitting there, he's like, nice. And he comes back and he says, all right, so before we get to this bowl game, I want you, I know you can go on the road and recruit. And because I passed my recruiting test, he's like, I know you're a former high school coach here. I know you have relationships, but I need you to stay back and ensure that these guys get done everything they need to get done academically, because you're already doing it as academic liaison. Now, before we get going any deeper, I want to talk to you about the 2026 Player Development Summit. The 2026 Player Development Summit will be in Detroit, Michigan. We are so excited. What up, though, to be there. And this will be a gathering of player development, athlete development professionals who are coming together, and we are growing, we're networking, we're partnering to continue to ensure that the enhancement of the athlete experience will continue even long when we're gone. Now, if you like a gathering like that, there's information in the show notes. And if you want to sponsor that, if you're a company that wants to get an athlete in front of athlete development professionals because you have a service that can help, or if you're like, hey, I want to hire athletes. We're a company, we like athletes, we want to hire athletes. Or if you want to give to a cause, right? You're just like, hey, it's the holidays. You're like, hey, I got some money. I want to do some things. I want to give to a cause. You can sponsor the 2026 Player Development Summit. All that information is in the show notes. And so I was like, cool. Did I want to go on the road and recruit? Absolutely. I wanted to go back to these schools. I wanted to go to the coaches. I was going to recruit the Houston area. I was going to go back to my old high school with the gear on and walk around the school and see all the people. But I knew I had value there. And when he saw it, I was able to show him the value I had because we actually helped a lot of guys lock in before that bowl game. And so I got to sit down with the coach and communicate my value through the role based off what I did. All right, using my contacts with a coach leaving, using my contacts. I got a lot of questions, or not questions, excuse me, a lot of inquiries about what I was going to do next. So I was also the high school, what was it? Director of High School Relations. I can't remember my title. And so a lot of those contacts were hitting me up. Hey, Jones, I don't know if you're going to Texas with Herm. If you're not, I don't know if they're going to keep you, but you have a job. You can come work for me. And what was crazy about this is these were coaches that in programs that I wanted to work with. And if I would have interviewed before the University of Houston job, I would have never got a chance. One of these schools was Pearland High School, right, in Houston. And I remember the head coach was next to me. He said, hey, Jones, look, man, if it don't work out for you, man, I like you. You can come coach for me, right? And I'm like, dang, like, cool, sweet, right? And so I had the contacts on a high school level, like, hey, I'm gonna use my contacts I built through this, high school relations. I was like, I had contacts in Houston, Dallas, East Texas, San Antonio, Austin. So if I wanted to move, I had that. I had those contacts. I also had contacts at the collegiate level. People were asking about, hey man, like what you gonna do, different things like that. I was using as many contacts as I had. There were a few there who were like, hey man, we got some roles, whatever, using my contacts. Hey, how do you navigate this? I was talking to people, how do you navigate? He's going, how can I, be there, right? The one contact I wish I would have used was Tom Herman himself, right? I talked about this in the other episode. When he left, me and him got to spend about 2 minutes talking. And I wish I would have just said, hey, Coach Herm, look, I love University of Houston. He knew that was my alma mater. He knew that was my parents' alma mater. He knew I was from Houston. He knew I loved the H. But I wish I'd use that contact and be like, Coach, I love Houston, but if the opportunity to go to University of Texas, I can't pass it up, Coach. If you want that, if there's an opportunity there, please let me know. Or if I wish I'd have reached out to the people who were on staff with me, right? Who were there, who were leaving with him, the support staff members, right? So use your contacts. I had high school squared away because I was cool. I was a high school coach and I enjoyed player development, but I could have went straight back to coaching and teaching. It wouldn't have been nothing to me. But I used my contacts there. So I was solidified on the collegiate level. On the high school level, I had some solidification there on the collegiate level as well, because we had two coaches that were navigating possibly being an interim head coach. Like I said earlier, it was Todd Orlando. The other one was Major Applewhite. So I would talk to Major Applewhite every now and then. Me and him built a relationship, and he was asking different things about the program structure, things like that. And so I was using those contacts. It was kind of interesting because both of them were interviewing, in a sense, at the same time, right? And then we had some coaches, some well-known coaches. One of those well-known coaches is in not a debacle, but a conundrum right now, who had reached out and they were in the running for the job, and they were using those contacts. They had heard, and we had reached out. I'm like, hey, who knows so-and-so? If he gets it, can you help me, right? So use your contacts. And then number 3, be there for the players. Be there for the players. So when Coach left, I talked about it in the episode, being there for the players was allowing them to come talk to me. And being real with them. They were like, Jones, when are you leaving? I said, look, man, I haven't been called. I don't know when I'm leaving. It looks like I'm going to be here, but I'm open to any opportunity. But also I could get fired as well. Like, I don't have a job. So I have no security. So it wasn't just about me. I had to be honest with them for them to open up. But I was just being there for them, listening to them talking about this. And like, man, that's crazy. Coach gone. And we had talked, some kids were thinking about transferring. And some kids were like, man, I want to finish here strong. Like, man, we could do this. Like, we got this, man. We're the University of Houston. So I was there for the players. It was a tough situation, but you got to be there for them. Had an open door, talked to their parents, did as much as I could on that end to be there and understand where they're coming from. But I was there for them. So those are the 3 survival tactics. I want survival rules. The 3 handle. I got to come up with something there for that. But the 3, let's call it that, survival rules I had for that. Now let's move to the next situation. A coach being fired. So this one was, I talked about this also with Coach on the Hot Seat, that episode I've mentioned earlier. And this is when Coach Applewhite got let go at the University of Houston. We were a winning team. We had a winning season. I always have to say that. So that's the reality for some of you all that are looking to get in a role. It may happen. But when using those 3 survival rules, the first one, communicate your value. I was prepared to communicate my value with the incoming head coach and staff, and I actually communicate my value with some of the boosters. And so that was a time where I did that as well. I thought I did with the AD. I should have done a better job of that. but also communicate my value. In that episode, you heard me talk about it. I mailed letters to other coaches because I knew like, I don't know if this guy's going to keep me, blah, blah, blah. I communicated my value. I wrote 12 letters to coaches. Hey, my name's Ed Jones. Here's a brochure of what I've done. If you're looking to do player development at the university you're at, please let me know, right? So I started communicating my value with strangers per se to make sure that I had opportunity to get a job. Number 2, use your contacts. I definitely use my contacts on this one. Because this one I was like, okay, this is different than the Herm. I got hired. I felt like one of Coach Orlando or Coach Applewhite's gonna get the job. So I felt good, like I could keep my job. But this one was different when Coach Applewhite got let go. And so I was using my contacts and I'm sitting there, I'm texting people at other schools. They're hitting me up. Even one guy it was a construction company in Houston, and he hit me up the day afterwards. He was like, hey man, I don't know if you still want to do sports, but what you're doing for those athletes, I want you to come do this for my company. So I kept that contact, right? There was corporate contacts. So this was new to me, right? Corporate contacts, right? Still had the high school contacts, but at this time I was a little pulled further away from being in high school. So I kind of wanted to stay on the college level, and I was prepared. I used my contacts. I went to the AFCA convention. I'm sitting there talking to people. I'm having conversations. I got brochures. I'm sitting here like, let's talk about it. I'm connecting with people. Hey, are you gonna be at AFCA in San Antonio? Yeah, I will be there. Sweet. Let's have time. Let's sit here. Let's do this. So I definitely use my contacts in that. And then the third was being there for the players. Like when Coach got let go, that was tough. And we were there for the players. It happened very, 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 very fast because it happened during the break and then we all came back. But I was there for the players as much as I could be. My phone was there. I would have conversations with them. Like, man, Coach, like that's messed up. Coach, are they gonna let you go? Don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen there. We're gonna see. I had opportunity. They were still kind of during break, so I don't remember seeing all of them. They were coming back because I remember they had a press conference coming soon, but it happened during their break, their break. So I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to players per se. There were some that were in the city who were just there in discretionary, just around the facility, but didn't get a chance to say goodbye to the entire squad. I actually got to talk to them driving on my way to Kansas, but I was there for them as much as I could be. I was there. My phone was there. They knew they could get to me, and that was that. So that's how that transition was when a coach was being fired. Now, staying in the role during the transition. So this goes back to when I went from Houston when I was in Houston and I got to stay higher. Probably should have done this one before the last one, but it still works. So I got to stay in the role. I got hired. I'll never forget. I got the call. So they did kind of like I remember Hunter Yurachek tweeted out. Or maybe him and Dr. Renu Couture tweeted out like the red smoke that comes out the building. It's like it has to do something with the Pope. When they find a new Pope, they let out smoke. They let out red smoke. So I called Coach Applewhite just to be like, hey, Coach, congratulations. Happy for you. Really, really excited, and then he's like, thanks so much, Ed. He was like, Ed, I want you to be on my staff. I was like, all right, sweet. Like, I got a job. Let's go, right? And so he was like, hey, man, I want you to be in recruiting. And I need to do a whole episode on that. I was in recruiting for like 8 months. And I was like, Coach, I really love this player development. He's like, I want you in recruiting. I want you to help. And I was like, you know what? I didn't have a job, so I'm going to do it. So and that was good there. And I try to communicate my value. I bring that up. I try to communicate my value on the player development side. Like, hey, Coach, just want to let you know this player development side, I really, really want to help the players. But I needed a job. He said recruiting, so that's what it was. It's pretty interesting. I'll talk about it later in this episode that we actually had an opportunity where me and Coach Applewhite both came to a point where we both like, yeah, I need to go back. I was already there, and then we had a meeting, and he saw it as well, and he's like, man, I got a chance to communicate my value there to get back in the role. I was like, hey, Coach, man, there was a couple young men who were struggling on the team at that time. I'm like, Coach, if I wasn't in this recruiting role or watching film or reaching out, I could spend time with these guys. And so we agreed there. So I communicated my role. I communicated my value there. Use my contacts. I use that more to, when I use contacts to stay in a role, is more to, okay, hey, I'm here. I'm locked in. I feel good. I use more of my contacts in the corporate world as we were building out beyond the field. And so I reached out to these people like, hey, I just want to let you know I kept my job. I want to reach out to you all. Let's start creating some stuff. So I use my contacts to create more programming there, if that makes sense. So I was more like, all right, cool. I'm here. I'm going to be here for the next whatever. I think Coach had signed, I forgot how long his contract was. But I was like, we're going to be here for a little while. So let's do that. So I used my contacts to help me there. Use my contacts with high school coaches to help when I was in the recruiting role. Just let them know, hey, we're still here. We're going to be here. So I use my contacts there. And then being there for the players, this was probably the hardest one during the transition because I was there for the players. But when I did recruiting, I'll never forget one of the players, actually Isaiah Johnson, who got drafted by the Raiders. And man, I remember me and him were in the hallway in the equipment room, and he was like, man, you don't rock with us no more. And I'm like, man, look, man, that's not the case, man. I'm working in recruiting. I got to watch film. I got to do this. I got to do cut-ups. He's like, man, you used to be around all the time, man. And like, man, we don't see you no more. And that, like, I ain't gonna lie, that was like, dang, man, that hurt because I wanted to be in player development, but I had a job. I had a job to do for Coach Applewhite. I got a raise, and I needed that job because I took a $27,000 to $37,000 cut to go from being a high school coach to working at the University of Houston. So when I got that raise, it's getting me back to what I was earning and what I was saving and making my lifestyle. And I'm very cheap, but you take that big of a cut, and there's some things you're gonna cut back. It was good to get back. So being there for the players for me was like, hey, I'm here, y'all. I'm here. I know y'all don't see me. I'm here. And eventually what happened was, like I said, me and Coach Applewhite got to a point where I wasn't doing great in my recruiting job because I wanted to be around the players. Whenever they came around, I just stopped watching film. I spent time with them. So I had to stay up all night watching film because I was like, the priority here is being around the players. And so we all came to this agreement like, hey, I got to go back. Like there was a consensus on the staff. Ed's got to go back to player development. So I was able to get back there for the players and be with them there. But that was the toughest time I had in my player development career. That was about 8 months. 7 or 8 months where I was just like doing recruiting, and I thought I could handle both, and I just couldn't. It was so much film to watch. And so shout out to you all that do recruiting. I might do an episode on that, like what it was like to do recruiting. I learned a lot of stuff from recruiting, working with my guy, Alex Brown, Bobby Merritt. Man, I learned a lot working there. So that was staying in the role during transition. And now here's the one a lot of people don't want to talk about or admit. How did I handle transition when I got fired? I got let go. I'll never forget. It was December 16th, 2021, day after signing day. We signed the #1 recruiting class at Baylor University at 7:52 in the morning. And the chief of staff said, hey, the head coach wants to talk to you. This was 8 minutes before a staff meeting. So I'm like, why am I meeting with coach 8 minutes before a staff meeting? I thought he wanted me to say something about, signing day. I thought it was kind of weird. I was like, I haven't said anything the whole time. And so I walked in and heard, hey, man, you did a great job. You've done a great job with the players, but we're going to let you go, which was kind of interesting to me. The term was, I did a great job with the players, but I didn't do a great job with the staff, which I thought it was weird. But it's unfortunate. It happens. It happens. I'll leave it at that. I got fired there. And so it was different, right? It was like, all right, cool. And I remember asking, we were going to the Sugar Bowl right after we won the Big 12 championship. And I said, all right, cool. Coach, I get it. I get it. I kind of saw it coming. Some of you all, I've talked about this before. There was a lot of tension. I'll talk about it as well later in this episode when I talk about interviews. I was told I was going to do something in the role. I wasn't able to get that done in the role. Wasn't given the access, the resources, the opportunity to do what I wanted to do in a role. So I felt at some point it was going to happen. I was kind of confused because normally when people get fired, from my vantage point in sports, a lot of responsibilities get taken away, but I kept getting responsibilities, specifically when Joey McGuire went to Texas Tech and Quentin Jordan went with him. And so anyway, I'm sitting there and I talked to coach and I'm like, hey, well, coach, your decision's your decision. Do you mind if I just go to the Sugar Bowl and end the season with the players? It was a great opportunity. My wife had already set up to go. My mother-in-law was coming and my aunt was coming. They already purchased tickets and got a hotel room and everything. And so we were excited because me and my wife were going to spend some time in New Orleans. And I was told, hey, you're gonna, today's your last day. You could pack up your office or we'll pack it for you and ship it to you. And I was like, oh snap, okay. Got it, right? So unfortunate, but that's part of it. That's part of working in sports, And so when that happened, I had to communicate my value, and I really, truly had to communicate my value. And this is the one thing I wish I would have done differently going through this firing. So there's a lot of people that give you advice when you get fired, like, hey, don't let people know you get fired. You want to make it look good. Don't change your role. I think it's a new time. I wish I would have went on and you can't say anything bad about the person that fires you at the university because you won't get your money. I had about half of my contract coming in, about $60,000, I think. So I was like, all right, so we were at you can't say anything, the parties can't say anything about each other, which I didn't, but they did. And so people tell you don't do that, but I wish I'd have jumped on and been like, hey, my time here at Baylor's done. Unfortunately, I've been let go, because they would have been able to show that. And then I would have said, hey, here are the things I did in the player development role. And not to bash the decision that was made, because that is what it is. It was toxic, like I said, anyway. But I would have been like, hey, this is what I've done. I've created this, I've done this, I've done this. So I would have put my value out there immediately. And I've actually even had chances to help people I've mentored who have been let go. And they're like, what do? I'm like, you got to go right back out there and let people know, hey, this has happened, but I'm also valuable. Because I had a conversation with someone at a university I worked at previously, and he was like, yo, if we would have known that, we would have brought you here. Like, we were, and so I was like, dang, so I would say to anybody, if you get fired, like, let people know fire is part of it. It's part of it. Like, my pride was in the way. It really, my pride was in the way. And, and also people were talking to me during that time. I had an SEC school hit me up during that time. I had a professional team hit me up during that time. So I also was like, I'm going to be good. Like, I'll get a job. And my career had a good trajectory. But if I could do it differently, I would communicate my value off the rip. Hey, I got let go. Hey, the coach went to another school. The new coach fired me, whatever. Hey, I got let go. Here's what I've created. Here's the value there. And so that's what I've done. I would have used my contacts. And so I let people know that I knew well. It actually worked for me. I let some NFL scouts know that I got let go. And one of the guys, he didn't understand it, but he worked for the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to Chris Hall. And he got me opportunity. It's back here. I want to pull it down, but I'm going to just, because if I pull it down, but it's back there. He got me access with the Dallas Cowboys to be at the combine. And so he's like, man, you need to come to the combine. You need to meet people, man. And some people asked me, did I want to be a scout? There was that opportunity. They were like, man, do you want to get into scouting? And I was just like, with a young family, they travel a lot. And so I got to meet a lot of people in player engagement, and that was cool. But I used my contacts. I let them know. I let some other coaches I knew know. I wish I would have let more people know. I was afraid of, really truly what I was afraid of letting people know is when a college football coach is winning, it doesn't matter what's said. So there were people who I knew, who knew me, who were questioning my character because this coach let me go. And so once I started seeing that, I was like, I'm gonna hit up other people. Like, if you know who I am and you're questioning this, and I'm telling you this is why I literally got fired. I can't tell you why he fired me, right? And you're trying to figure out if there's anything else, I'm good, right? But I wish I'd used my contacts. Specifically, I had deep contacts on social media. So like I said, I would use that post there. And then being there for the players, this actually was pretty interesting. Being there for the players, after I got let go, instead of going to clean my office, I made sure I talked to as many players as possible. Why? Because there were things that were said about me that were lies. I saw there were being lies about other people. And so I wanted to go to the players. I wanted to go to the players and say, hey, this is what it is. And so I was able to go there. And some of the players were really, really frustrated. Really, really frustrated. And some of them wanted to, man, we're going to get your job back, man. I was like, hey, man, look, it is what it is. I knew some of them were seniors. I was like, they're going to lie about me. I don't want nobody to spread lies about you as you get ready to go to NFL. And so it was there. But I was there for the players. One of the cool things I was able to do is their graduation. So I got fired on signing day's on a Wednesday. I got fired on a Thursday. And so I was there Saturday. They graduated Saturday. I was at their graduation. That's being there for the players. I told these players I had relationships with them. And I remember a couple of players were like, man, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you here? Like, why would you come, this, you got fired. I'm like, bro, I'm here for y'all. When I told you I'm here for y'all, I'm here for y'all. And so I was one of the few staff members there at the graduation, right? And they were just like, Coach, I don't understand it. I said, I told y'all I'll be there for the players. And so those are the three areas I used in that transition, right? It was tough. Like I said, the fire. If you're getting fired or close to getting fired, you've been fired before. Communicate your value. Drop your pride. People are looking, right? People respect you and people want to work with you. And I feel like if I'd have opened up earlier, I probably would still be in the role. But if I was in the role, I wouldn't be able to do this, right? I wouldn't be able to help so many people. I get to help people around the world, right, through this platform. So that's here or there. We'll see, right? But those are three things that you've heard me talk about, all four transitions, right? And the three things I used in each of them was I communicated my value, I used my contacts, and I was there for the players. And so if you're going through that transition, communicate your value, use your contacts, and be there for the players. Those will help guide you as you transition. they are tough. Transitions are tough, right? They're tough. Either way, it's tough because you're sitting there, it's all this uncertainty in this coaching carousel. Remember, this is a mega episode about the coaching carousel. But as they are tough, you got to navigate them strategically. And so those three areas will help you navigate them strategically.